Hello, one and all. I just wanted to mix things up a little bit and share some of this beautiful spring weather we're having with us as we go into the letter F to talk about, as you guys voted, the Flying Dutchman. Um, Unreal, right? I mean, it was like 70 degrees a couple days ago, and seconds ago there were these beautiful big fluffy flakes, and now it's I don't know, not as pretty out. Still looks nice, but I wasn't sure I was gonna survive the massive flake falling anyway. But anyway, the Flying Dutchman is what we'll be talking about today. Oh, and as always, we'll start out with the comment of the day, since What's Your Ghost Story is always about sharing information, sharing your own stories. And so this is a comment I got a little while ago about Fort Sheridan, which is in Highwood, Illinois. So used to saying California still. Highwood, or Florida for some reason. I'm mentally trying to be anywhere warm, apparently. So anyway, Fort Sheridan was a military installation, as you would assume, in right on the Lake Michigan coast. And today it's luxury condos. It's very high-end housing. A lot of, I mean, tons and tons of historic buildings. A handful of ghost stories as well. Some of them very vivid. Anyway, Trey James writes, I lived there for 4 years on what used to be Norman Heck Court. There was a phantom horse that you would hear speeding through the south gate. A phantom chaplain who was famously photographed during a Christmas time in the officers' housing division. The already mentioned orange lady who haunts the event center. The library, which was a hospital during wartime. The morgue still stood in the library parking lot. I myself witnessed featureless faces peering out of the library basement windows, despite them being boarded up and painted over. I also saw the spirit of an elderly woman pass through my room and out of my second story wall on multiple occasions. That's intense. That's really remarkable stuff. And what he's talking about when he mentions the chaplain who was famously photographed, there is one of the most remarkable paranormal photos was taken at Fort Sheridan at a time when the military there, they were going to put out a calendar. And so they were taking these photos of the place all throughout the year. And around Christmas time, they wanted to get a good December photo. So they went out during a snowstorm and took, well, I shouldn't say snowstorm, I guess like this. Took photos all over the place of a very quiet, peaceful place. And in one photo, a man appears standing on the sidewalk. That was a person that was not there in life. So Trey, thank you for sharing your stories, and very creepy ones, especially seeing the faces without any features, and seeing the spirit of an elderly woman pass through his room and out his through a second story wall on multiple occasions. Yeah, that sounds like it would be a former resident for me as well. Um, uh, Chime in if you guys are watching live. I always want to keep this a conversation. Also, I know I tend to be long-winded, and I thought this would be a good way to make sure that I don't dawdle too long. I'll get to the point, and then I will get back to warmth, because my once steaming cup of coffee is already, well, it's still steaming, but it's a shell of what it once was. So, John Dreiska, a great friend and supporter of all things paranormal, he was the one that commented or suggested back when we were looking for the letter E to talk about the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. That one got outvoted, as you guys saw yesterday. We talked about Elisa Lam, Elizabeth Short, and Emma. And I thought later, oh gosh, I could have put Peg Entwistle with an E in there as well, talking about females who died too young and have some mysteries around their passing. Well, moving forward, we will go to instead a different maritime tale. Right here, and we're talking about the very famous Flying Dutchman. Now, the Flying Dutchman was I always thought it was the name of the ship, but it wasn't so much. The captain, who was Captain Hendrik Vanderdecken, was was obviously a maritime captain, and I don't know if this was believed at the time, but it sounds like there was some legend behind him that he was such a fast sailor that maybe he was in league with the devil, that he had sold his soul, and was therefore able to make these trips across the world that we knew it so quickly, that maybe that's why he was able to do it so well, so quick, and maybe that has something to do with why his vessel is still seen. So in 1641, he was captaining a ship from Holland to the East Indies. He went and picked up some more rare spices, and on his way back, he was passing by the Cape of Good Hope, which is in this story, the most ironically named locale, because a big gale came up, and he was fighting to keep control. Uh, his crew wanted him to take a different route, and he persisted. There was a mutiny. He overtook the mutiny. He kept them on their heading, and they sank. Many say because of his stubbornness. And it's and that is the ghost ship that we see. It sank to the ocean floor, and it, with all of its victims, are still sailing around the world. So this, even though it sank in South Africa, it's seen all over the world. It is kind of the universally known ghost ship that portends doom, if you happen to come across it. One of the other theories about how this ship met its demise, I think it came after this theory, although I like this story a lot. It sounds, I don't know, it's sadder, but it's also more complete. It says while they were going from port to port, somebody contracted a dangerous disease, and it spread among the ship. And once they were out to sea, no port would give them safe harbor. Nobody would let them come on because they wanted to not infect their local population. So, just doomed, with everybody on board dead, the ship continued to sail and drift around the world, which is what we still see today. Probably would have sunken in the meantime, but its ghost ship is still seen today. So it's been witnessed countless times over the years. Since the first recorded writing about it is in 1790, which is still over 100 years since the ship sank. Actually, 150 years. But in more modern time, with communication and reporting being easier, more widespread, you see the sightings. See, it's cold. My fingers are cold. I'm starting to shiver a little bit, so I'm going to motor through. But anyway, 1881 was maybe the most famous sighting because it was witnessed by members of the royal family. It was Prince George and Prince Albert Victor. Of course, Prince George would grow up some 30 years later to be King George. But they witnessed the ship, and they even, one of the princes, we don't know which one, wrote about it in their ship's log. It is a long run-on sentence, so I don't know if I'll read the entire thing, but it is just fascinating to read a first-hand account written by somebody who, we assume would be of solid mind, and somebody who would, of course, be a world leader in time. But I'll read the beginning and end of it because, again, as I mentioned, seeing the ship is usually considered a bad thing. It's not your benign paranormal encounter. Usually it's telling you that your doom is near at hand. And this was the case in this 1881 sighting. July 11th at 4 a.m., the Flying Dutchman crossed our bows. A strange red light as a phantom ship all aglow, in the midst of which the light lit the masts, spars, and sails of a brig 200 yards distant, stood in our strong relief as she came up port the bow, where the officer of the watch of the bridge clearly saw her, as is the quarterdeck midshipman, who was sent forward at once to the forecastle, but arriving there saw no visage or any sign whatsoever. So the ship vanished before their eyes. Skimming ahead, 13 persons, this is still from the handwritten log, 13 persons altogether saw her. At 10:45 a.m., this being after daybreak, the ordinary seaman who had just this morning, reported seeing the Flying Dutchman fell from the foretopmast cross trees to the top gallant forecastle and was smashed to atoms. So yes, the first person that witnessed seeing the Flying Dutchman here in 1881 at the sighting, within hours, himself was dead, falling from one of the top masts to the floor. And I love that that writing, that he was smashed to atoms. Let's see. The ship itself was seen in Cape Town, South Africa, 1939, by people on shore. So it's not even just sailors that have been out to sea too long. And of course, it's always fascinating that first one was seen by 13 people. So it's not one person's hallucination. It was seen multiple times in World War II, both by British sailors, seeing it in the Pacific Ocean, and even a German U-boat crew claimed to have seen it while at the Suez Canal. So it is a fascinating tale, and the thing that's really interesting too is that people claim to see it with its masts full, as if being blown by a mighty wind, even though it might be a very still day. And of course, the more and more current sightings, the more spectacular it is, because this is a ship obviously locked in its era from the mid 1600s, not a common sight to see today. Now, the scientific theory over why we're seeing it has to do with a mirage, Fata Morgana. Basically, when you see that shimmery mirage over hot land, and it seems like there's this water, but you can see objects beyond it. Well, when you see that over the ocean, you're seeing a fake water on top of water, and then you might be seeing something in the distance. And even more spectacularly and more easy to be fooled by, I guess, is you're seeing light bend going over the curvature of the Earth. So you might be seeing the reflection of something caught in heat particles, of distorted, not heat particles, but of distorted air particles, because light is being bent beyond the curvature of the ocean. And so you might be seeing something that isn't visibly seeable, even to you, because it's hidden by the Earth itself. Of course, we know that's fake because the Earth is flat. I'm kidding. I'm not one of them. So that's fascinating, but I still do wonder why you would see something so detailed. Of course, a big pirate ship looking thing today, where if you are in a boat that looks like that, or if you're on land in South Africa, that would not be a good reflection of you. It is a great theory. The other thing that doesn't hold up to that concept is, we take it right from the prince's travel log there, that it is seen in the middle of the night as well. So, okay, one, it's seen in the middle of the night. Two, it's surrounded by an ethereal glow, a red glow, which, unless your ship also has a big red orb around it, that doesn't line up. So I'm not going to say that it's real or not. I have no idea. I'd love to go out there and see it for myself, although maybe I wouldn't if it is a precursor to imminent demise. But that is the story and the theories behind the Flying Dutchman. Thanks for watching. Click that bell, because I will be coming back again today. We'll be talking about ghost hunting, both the tools and the theories behind it, and maybe some tips. If you guys want to log in yourself and share some of your own ghost story hunting trophies, if you will, about great stories you've experienced while out on an investigation, you'll be very, very welcome to do that. Also, go to whatsyourghoststory.com. Go to whatsyourghoststory.com. That is the main website. But also go to facebook.com/whatsyourghoststory, so you can vote on what the upcoming topics of discussion will be. So thanks for watching. Stay warm, and happy spring.